This week on Pure Brews America, we get messy. Really messy.
But first, it's time to see what the brothers Kuhnhenn have brewing up their sleeves.
Yeah, it's the best beer you can get. I mean, honestly, it's some of the best beer in Michigan, no question.
I'm Ryan Terpstra, Shannon Long's in the dunk tank. Why? Why not? We're having fun at Kuhnhenn Brewery. Sorry about that. Cheers.
All across America, the craft beer industry is exploding. I'm Ryan Terpstra, professional beer lover.
And I'm Shannon Long, founder and CEO of Brew Export.
Let us be your tour guides behind the scenes, where we will meet the key players and the beer makers and learn how they turn their dreams into reality.
We'll be traveling across the state to introduce you to some of Michigan's best beers.
It's a craft beer revolution on Pure Brews America.
Cheers to that.
This is Kuhnhenn Brewing Company. In its previous life, the building was a hardware store owned by Eric and Brett Kuhnhenn's father. But as these two brothers became more involved in the family business, the more they changed the products that were offered for sale.
We were in the hardware business. Two other hardware stores carried beer and wine supplies. So that used to be like the tradition, like during Prohibition. Yeah. You go to the hardware store to get your supplies. And the closest one was really like 30 minutes away. So why don't I start selling the supplies myself in the hardware store? I took over an 8-foot section. My first order was like, was it like $5,000? My family flipped out.
I flipped out coming back from college and say, what did you do?
Advertised in the local papers to get the word out, where we had supplies, and talked a lot of people into making their own beer just at the counter, which wasn't that hard. It was pretty cool.
What I really like about Kuhnhenn, they started out as homebrewers. These guys are grassroots kind of dudes, and they never really lost that feel. They sponsor a homebrew club, they've got their homebrew shop. Anytime the homebrewers need information, go to Brett and Eric, they'll tell you whatever you need to know.
My brother and I decided that, we don't want to be in the hardware business anymore. By that time, 3/4 of this store was homebrew supplies. We were still doing screen and window repair. So you could come in, get a pint of beer, and we could work on your screen.
Brett and Eric convinced their family that it was time to take the business in a new direction, so they searched near and far to bring home the equipment needed to open Kuhnhenn Brewing Company.
So we traveled around the country, and we bought these tanks in Vermont, strapped them on a trailer, and drove them home. And we've traveled all around the country. Some of the conical fermenters that we got out of Arizona. They were actually in a ballpark.
These particular tanks were in the U.S. that we have next door. We're in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and a hurricane went through. They closed the brewery up because it destroyed it, and then they ended up putting it on the mainland, and then we ended up getting them.
These guys are known for their wide range of beers, but there was one name that kept coming up when you talk to their fans.
Drippa, drippa, drippa. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Walk in the door, get a drippa, and then go from there.
We won the gold medal in the IPA category at the World Beer Cup in 2012 with this particular beer. And for us, it totally changed the game. I mean, we were already ramping up at that point, and that gave us substantially more notoriety in the beer enthusiast world, where a little brewery from Warren, Michigan beat out 170 other IPAs in a competition held in San Diego, Southern California, the hotbed of IPAs. So that was pretty sweet.
We use rice, which is technically an adjunct or an additive, but we use that for a sugar source, a starch source to turn into sugar, which allows us to get the high gravity, but we still have a beautiful soft mouthfeel to it. It's not heavy or chewy, and then the hopping profile of it, it just takes it to another level. So for me, it's just the epitome of good beer in the American style, I guess.
We were well known at a very young age into the brewing business as being high-octane brewers. Pretty much places that the complexity of flavor and aroma that you get from a high-alcohol beer plays off of what people see in fine quality wines.
This is a Session IPA. It's the fluffer. It's 4.5%. So it's got all the big, bold flavors that you want in an IPA, flavors and aromas, but low enough in alcohol where you're not falling off the bar stool.
You know, it's a great session IPA. Knock a few back, you're not gonna lose your mind. You know, it's Drippa's little brother. It's got the great hop character, you know, the citrusy hop thing going on. Very refreshing beer, good in the wintertime, good in the summertime as well.
Looney Cooney Pale Ale.
The original.
Literally the first beer that Brett and Eric brewed that really got this whole thing started. It was the impetus to this wild game that we're playing nowadays.
The popularity of Kuhnhenn has led to a second location in Clinton Township, giving fans another venue to experience award-winning beers and great food.
It's a huge project. It's amazing to see everything it takes, things you wouldn't even imagine, and like we all have to tap into skills that we didn't even know we had. And I mean, learning on the fly, everything about it's been a real learning experience.
It's not intimidating. Like, you can walk in and if you know a lot about beer or if you don't know about beer, you don't feel out of place one way or the other.
It is one of the few places that you can walk in and be treated like family right from the start, with just genuine, authentic people who care about you as a person, but also great beer.
And obviously with all the awards they've won, that's some of the best beer in the world. So it's worth the trip for sure.
Like, you need to come. I mean, come see what we can do here.
After the break, whether it's warm or cold, a Michigan Brewers Guild festival is where it's at.
I admire the people that put this together. It takes a lot of work and effort, and I appreciate what everybody does.
And then it's time to grab a paddle and head to Right Brain Brewery.
You're gone, you're on the shot. Stay tuned, more Pure Brews America coming up.